1968. It was a tumultuous year. It was a year when promising careers ended early, and others were just beginning. With a newly minted forestry degree from Syracuse University and a couple of contacts, Nikita Lopoukhine headed to Ottawa to look for a job. Soon after, he was in a truck riding across Canada for his first gig in the Rocky Mountains. Where ancient mountains tower over the prairies below, Nick spent a summer recording the vegetation in Waterton Lakes National Park. After 6 months with the Forest Management Institute, he was made permanent with the government and has never looked back. When asked candidly what was his greatest achievement during his 45-year career and counting, Nick answered, after a short pause, "I survived." With publishing credits in over 30 publications, numerous awards, and titles of Director General of the National Parks and Chair of the World Commission on Protected Areas for the IUCN, Nick has done more than just survive. When pushed for a substantive answer, Nick said he was most proud of his early work to change the way the Park Service managed forest fires. For years in North American forest management, fire was the enemy. As science advisor in the early 80s, Nick helped bring Parks Canada's policy in line with the science. In the 1990s, as commercial development and visitor numbers in Banff National Park kept growing, concerns were raised about the state of the park. A panel was formed to study the matter. The Ecological Integrity Panel recommended strengthening the Canadian National Parks Act, making it a world-leading example of parks legislation. As director of the Ecosystems branch, Nick worked to design the terms of reference for the panel. He then became the first executive director of the Ecological Integrity branch. After setting up the Ecological Integrity branch to monitor and report on conditions in Canada's national parks, Nick was appointed as the Director General of the National Parks Directorate. He held this position until he retired in 2005. It was a retirement in name only. At his goodbye party, co-workers noted Nick's career was heading in the same direction as his airline points. After leaving Parks Canada, Nick became the elected chair of the World Commission on Protected Areas at the IUCN. As chair, Nick worked to expand and secure the IUCN's protected area work, at a time when its long-term viability was in question. Using his strong consensus-building skills, Nick steered a reclassification of the IUCN's definitions of protected areas, a task many thought impossible. The change ensured nature conservation became a core part of the definition of protected areas, forcing many land managers across the globe to reevaluate how their protected areas are managed. Under Nick's leadership, the World Commission on Protected Areas played a pivotal role in expanding and strengthening the Convention on Biodiversity's program on protected areas. Nick's contribution to the field of protected areas is rooted in his love of the outdoors. Since his retirement from retirement, Nick has worked to help the next generation develop the same love of nature that he shares. As one of his colleagues remarked, if you want to save the parks and wilderness, Nick's joy of nature is the characteristic that you have to bottle.